Hello and welcome to our third session of advanced training for Vice Presidents of Public Relations. In case you don't know me, I'm Patty Kay, and I am the Public Relations Manager for District 21 this year. And part of my role is to support the VPs of PR in doing their role effectively, and that's what this training is all about. So I will be holding these training webinars roughly once a month. There'll be somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes. And if you're here live, you can ask a question. The chat is on the left-hand side of the screen, and you can just type the question in. If you're not able to attend live, I am recording these sessions and I will make them available. We are, as of this moment right now, November 21st, installing the new website this weekend. So we will have a place to store the recordings. So they will be living on the new website when it gets installed. And I will send an email out to people after the webinar to let them know that the recording is available. So if you have questions, if you have challenges, if you have ideas for these webinars, things that you would like me to cover, send me an email, d21@pattykay.com, and I will be happy to address your challenges and concerns and help you out in whatever way I am able to. So our topic today is all about how to use meetup.com, and I'm really excited about this topic in this particular program because I've seen Meetup do wonderful things for clubs in terms of bringing in guests. And in my home club, All Pro Toastmasters, we get at least 1 or 2 guests at every meeting because we have a presence on meetup.com. And it's really, other than personal invitations to people, it's really all we're doing for advertising the club. We're not, we don't have Facebook page, we're not active on Twitter or anything else. We just have a Meetup group, and it consistently brings people in for us. And I've talked to a number of people who are using Meetup very successfully to bring people into their club or to have a demonstration meeting for creating a new club, that sort of thing. So Meetup is particularly effective. So that's our topic today, is Meetup. And the agenda will be, well, first of all, like, what the heck is Meetup? We'll start there. And then I'll walk you through how to set up a Meetup group. And I'm going to cover the common mistakes. When people tell me that Meetup isn't working for them, it's usually because they're doing one of these things. So we're going to cover that, the what not to do, and then tips, what to do instead in order to make your Meetup group effective for you. Now, Meetup is an online program. You will find it at meetup.com. And the purpose of Meetup is to make it easy for people to promote their events and community gatherings. The entire concept of Meetup is to bring people together live and in person somewhere. And it is a paid service. It's not free. You do have to pay to belong to Meetup, but as you'll see in a couple of moments, it can be extremely economical if you do it right. And Meetup.com members, the kinds of people that join Meetup, the kinds of people who are looking for things, they tend, well, first of all, they want to meet in person because that's the whole point of going to a Meetup, is to go somewhere where there are other people. They are generally looking for lower cost events. Meetup is not going to be the best place to promote, say, a conference or a high-priced training, but for a low-cost event, and Toastmasters certainly falls into that category, especially when we invite guests into our clubs for free. That works quite well. And a lot of Meetup.com members are looking for personal and professional development. I use Meetup to promote the events that I hold for my business. So I promote live workshops and trainings and things like that. So there are a lot of people that are looking for that kind of thing, to get out and do an educational event as part of their Meetup experience. So there are lots of people looking for that kind of thing. which of course makes it ideal for Toastmasters. It's almost like Meetup had Toastmasters in mind when they created the service, because it is absolutely perfect. We do meet in person. We have low-cost events. They are focused on personal and professional development. We meet on a regular basis, and we are all over the place. So Meetup is great for Toastmasters. I mentioned that there is a fee to it. It's $89 US for 6 months. However, with your Meetup account, you get 3 Meetup groups, and they could be entirely different groups. They can be located in an entirely different geographical location, but your membership gives you 3 Meetup groups, and each group can have unlimited meetings. So it's not that you're allowed 3 meetings, you're allowed 3 groups, and each group gets unlimited meetings, which means that you can split the fee with 2 other clubs. You can share 1 account and have 3 clubs share it. The other thing that you can do, and this is what we've done with All Pro, is we don't pay for our Meetup account, is we ask the club, does anybody here have a Meetup group, like for your business or something, where you're not using all of the meetups that you are allowed? And I paid for our meetup group for a few years, and then another member took it over because he had a Meetup group or Meetup account that he was using, but he wasn't using all the groups, so he just donated 1 to the club. Alternately, find 2 other clubs and split the fee. So this is what a Meetup looks like for a single club. So this one here is North Delta Power Talkers. It's Toastmasters Meetup, and that's a Meetup for a single club. Whoever holds this account could have 3 different Meetup clubs within that 1 account. So this is what a Meetup looks like for a single account. You can also share your group with clubs in the area, so you can join in with other people to other clubs within the area, like in a specific geographical area. You can promote all of your meetings on a single Meetup. So here's a really good example. This is the Toastmasters of White Rock. This is 3 clubs that came together sharing 1 Meetup group. And the reason this works really well is that you have 3 different locations, 3 different times. You have 3 times the number of events coming up. You get more people involved. There's a little bit more energy around it. So what they've done is that the 3 clubs in White Rock have gotten together. They're splitting a Meetup group, and this is just a Meetup group. They have 2 other possibilities for groups within that 1 account. So as you can see, you can split up that investment amongst multiple people in order to save yourself some money, and it can become quite economical. So that's 3 clubs using 1 Meetup group, and here is a whole bunch of clubs using 1 Meetup group. Someone has set up a Meetup group for public speaking in the Lower Mainland via Toastmasters, and it's got a whole bunch of different clubs on it. So lots of possibilities in terms of setting this up. If you go to meetup.com, you can do a search for Toastmasters, and what it will do is it will show you all of the Toastmasters Meetup groups that are within 50 miles of wherever you are located. So you can get a sense of what other clubs have Meetup groups. You can look and see what they're doing. You can get some ideas from them, or contact the Meetup organizer and see if they've got room to split that account with you. Might be a way for you to get your Meetup for a lower investment. So that's the general idea of what Meetup is. It's an online service to bring people together in a physical location for a meeting of some sort, just like Toastmasters. So, and with each account, you can have 3 different Meetup groups, which could be the equivalent of 3 different clubs or 3 different geographical areas. So you can get a lot of meetings into a single account. So in order to set up your Meetup, start by going to meetup.com. Sign up for an account. When you sign up for an account, that's your account. That's for you, the human being, to be on Meetup. So set up your profile. And then there's a button at the top of the screen that says Start a Meetup Group. Click that. And when you do that, it's going to walk you through a wizard. It's really easy to set up. Basically, just follow the instructions screen by screen. Make sure that you set the city up correctly, and the city should be the city where your Toastmasters Club is meeting, not necessarily where you live if you are traveling to that club. So if you live in New West but you're setting up a club in Surrey, make sure that you set the city up to be Surrey, because what's important is where that meetup group is physically located. The next thing is you will be allowed to pick categories, and you can just type into this little box here with the search icon in it, and you can find use all of the categories. I think you're allowed, yes, 15 topics. So topics, categories, same difference, but use all 15. When you set up your Meetup group, Meetup gives you a one-time boost, and what it will do is it will send an announcement about your meetup to all of the people who have chosen to get announcements, who live within the geographical area that your meetup is occurring, and that have selected these topics as the things that they are interested in. So use all 15. You have 15 spaces, use them all. Here are some of the categories that you can use. For sure, there's some categories in there that are about Toastmasters. Use those. Public speaking, leadership topics, personal development, those are good. Depending on your club and what your whether you're in a specialty club or an advanced club, or if there's something about your club that's different from the rest of the Toastmasters clubs, you can choose categories outside of Toastmasters specific things. So you may have something about career development, maybe you've got executives, maybe business networking. I know there are a number of clubs that are business oriented, so you could include business networking. You could do things like new in town, that sort of thing. I know there's a number of clubs here on the Lower Mainland that are specialized in working with people who are ESL, English as a second language, and they will use categories like Learn English. Gives people an idea of what they're finding. So go beyond just Toastmasters and public speaking and leadership, and think about the other reasons why people might join your club. And a lot of it, a lot of people join Toastmasters to socialize and to meet new people, so you can include those sorts of things in your categories as well. But use them all. Now this is really important because like I said, they will jumpstart your meetup and invite people near you that may be interested in joining. So when you click this button, you're getting your meetup group underway, and you're agreeing to create face-to-face community, which of course is what we do in Toastmasters. Meetup is not about promoting online events. Your group name. This is important too. You want your group's name to let people know, just like it says on the screen, where you're located and what the group does. It's super short. You can go with your location, like your city name, where you're located, and Toastmasters, right? So it could be New Westminster's Toastmasters Club. If you're a specialty, you can put that in there. You can make the group name a little bit long. It could be something like learn public speaking and leadership skills at Toastmasters in New Westminster, something like that. But include the location name is really important for Meetup. People are looking for something that's nearby where they live or where they work, so that it needs to be convenient. So make sure that you include where your club is in your group name. And I would recommend using Toastmasters in there as well, because some people are going to meet up and looking specifically for Toastmasters. And of course, if you're specialty, if you're an advanced club, if there's specialization to your club, if you're a Christian club or environmental club or whatever, you can include that as well to give people that intriguing name. Group description, super, super important. This is marketing. You're going to want to make this appealing. It can feel like a real pain in the butt to fill out all of the little boxes here, but taking the time to do this well makes all the difference between having a meetup group that brings guests into your club versus having a meetup group that doesn't do anything for you. So you're going to want a good group description in here, and you're going to want to make it appealing. So a couple of tips for that. First of all, who are you trying to attract? Now, if you look around your club and you look at the people who make really good members for your club, who are they? What are they looking for? What kinds of people are, what kinds of people are they? What kinds of people do you want to attract to your club? Every club has a different culture and a different personality, so you're going to want to make your description match up to what you offer in your club. And by the way, everything I said in the creating a good website webinar that I did last month applies to creating a meetup group. It's all about what you say and how you say it. So if you're a little bit stuck around what to use for a description, I would suggest that you take a look at the previous webinar. I go into quite some detail about what to include on your website, and you can use all of that stuff in the About section of your Meetup. And if you already have a really good website with that information, of course you can copy it and paste it into the Meetup and include a link to your website as well so that people can click through to get more information. So in this case, my club here, All Pro Toastmasters, we are an advanced club, and we exist to promote people who want to become professional speakers or trainers. So that's what I've used in the description for All Pro, is it's all about, do you have a desire to be a paid speaker or trainer? Because those are the kinds of people we're looking for. Now, if you have a community club and you're catering to people who have fear around public speaking and want to build leadership skills, then you could say, are you afraid of public speaking? Looking to build your leadership skills. Something like that, that's about the person that is considering coming out to your club. And this, of course, is your number one thing about marketing is what is in it for them. Why should they join? And this is the about. This is that about description, and you'll see here for All Pro we have a long description about what the club is about. When people are there, they're deciding, they're looking for information, they are interested. If they've clicked into your Meetup group to see what you're about, they're interested. Give them the information that they're looking for. In the next screen, as you're clicking through creating your club, the next screen is what are members called, and you might call them members. Toastmasters might be a good thing to put in here, but it just shows up on the Meetup that you have 45 members in your Meetup, or 45 Toastmasters in your Meetup, or 45 wannabe professional speakers in your Meetup, whatever you want to call them, but that's what this screen is about. And then when you've gone in and created your Meetup, then the next place here, this is where they ask you to pay, and you can pay monthly, or you can pay 6 months in advance. And what you're going to be looking for is you're probably going to want the unlimited account. Hopefully you'll get more than, what will happen with Meetup is you'll get a lot of people that join that don't show up. So, for example, my All Pro Toastmasters group, we have something like 150 people in the Meetup. We don't get 150 people coming out to a meeting. And so I guess what I'm saying here is don't get too excited when you see that you've got dozens of people joining your Meetup group. A lot of them won't actually come out to a meeting. It's just how Meetup works, whether they're joining because they want to attend at some point or whatever. Sometimes they will show up, and a lot of times they won't. So you'll get up, you should, if you do this well, you should get up and over 50 members fairly quickly. So you're probably going to want to jump into unlimited plan. And then when you've got your Meetup group set up, after you've paid for it, you will have a Meetup group, and it'll be a brand new spiffy little Meetup group with no meetings happening. So the first thing you want to do after you create your group is to add your first Meetup. And this happens in 2 stages, so it gives you this like really quick little box to fill in to set up your Meetup. And what should we do? That's the title of your meeting. So whatever you want to call it. I've seen that in Meetup, some people will put in the topic, their topic for the Meetup. If they have a meeting theme, they might put that in there. And then in the more details, you're going to want to say something about what's going to happen in the meeting. This would be a really good place to put in your agenda, some information for first-time guests so that they know what to expect when they show up. So you've got lots of space in there to put details, and I would suggest that you do so. Let people know what they're getting into. When you provide the information, it's very reassuring for people, especially if they have a little bit of fear around joining. This is your chance to reassure them and to invite them to put in that warm, please come out to a meeting, we would love to have you, and if they need to know something, put that in there. And then there's a place here to set up your date and your location, and then click the red button to schedule your meetup. So that's the first thing you do, is you set up the meetup. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in and edit that meetup to add more details. And when you do the editing through here, and you'll see there's a little pencil up here where you can click the edit, it will give you more options for formatting the information about what the meetup is about. So you can put in bullet points, and you can bold things, and you can make your paragraph spacing look good. You can even put in photos and things like that. I think you can even paste a video in there if you'd like. So it's a chance to advertise. So do the editing and make your meetup sound really, really appealing. Now, that will get your meetup set up. So you've got your account, you've got your meetup, you've got your first meeting scheduled, and there's Meetup. And what will happen is somewhere between 3 and 7 days after you set up your account, Meetup will send the blast out to all of the people in the geographic area that have said that they're interested in those categories that you assigned, or the topics that you assigned to your Meetup. And that's the boost that you get from Meetup, and that only happens once. Now, I've talked to a lot of people about Meetup, and I get a variety of responses. And sometimes people say, oh yeah, Meetup, it's the greatest thing. It's the next best thing since sliced white. People are showing up. We're getting guests. Meetup is wonderful. And then there's a group of people who will say, yeah, we tried it and it didn't work. Now, I'm not sure if people are having success with Meetup in smaller communities. That is the one thing I'm not sure about. I do know that here in the Lower Mainland, where there's a fairly dense number of people, Meetup works exceptionally well. Now, will it work for people who are on the outskirts? I'm not sure. And if anyone is here or is listening in on the recording and you've had some experience about that, I would really like to hear about it, whether or not it's working for the more remote communities. But if you are in a major geographical area with a lot of people, Meetup should work for you. So here are the things that I'm noticing that people are mistakes that people are making with Meetup. And I bring these up because these are really common. I see this all the time, and I'm going to show you some examples. And if it happens to be your club, I'm not picking on you. I'm just doing this to be helpful. But here are some examples of things that go sideways on Meetup, and this is why it doesn't work for people. So first of all, you get one chance. This is probably the most important piece of all. You get one opportunity for Meetup to send out that announcement, and you need to be prepared for that opportunity. When they send that invitation out, you want your Meetup to be set up, warm, welcoming, and ready to go. Setting up your Meetup is not something that you set up the account one week and then you have a meeting to talk about what it's going to be on there and you go back and forth. You're not going to accelerate the process by setting the account up early, because what Meetup will do is they'll just blast it out, and it doesn't matter if there's nothing in it. They will send it out anyhow, and there's no button you can push to get them to do it again. You get one shot at it. So you need to get everything in place first. When you sit down to create that account, you should have everything ready to go. A good, solid group description. Just get this prepared ahead of time. Describe what your group is about, what your Toastmasters Club is about. Review the webinar about website, because everything I said in there about features and benefits and what people want to know about needs to go in your group description. You, as the organizer, you're going to want to have a description for you and who you are. One of the things that people do when they're considering whether to join a Meetup is they want to see who else is there. Who's going to be there? Are these going to be people like me? And Meetup is brilliant for this because you have the opportunity to put in a description about you and your photo. Make sure that you put your photo in and encourage your club members to do the same so that people will go and they'll look at your meetup and they'll see all these friendly smiling faces with descriptions and they go, oh wow, people just like me, I think I'm going to go. Put your upcoming meeting dates, not just the next one, but all of them. And I'll show you how to do that in a few slides, but you can set Meetup up to have a recurring Meetup meeting date. So if you meet on the first Monday of every month, you can have Meetup automatically just recur that meeting. And then whenever people go to the Meetup, they will see that there's an upcoming meeting. So you can do all the work up front, and then you can really kind of put it on autopilot to a great extent. So have your upcoming meeting dates. When people get to a meetup and there's no upcoming meeting dates, they've published the statistics somewhere and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's a huge difference between people deciding to join a meetup that has an upcoming meeting versus signing up for a meeting that has, or a meetup that has no upcoming meeting dates. So if you go to a meetup and they go, there's no meeting, a lot of people will say, is this thing a real thing? And they're just going to go away. So make sure you have upcoming meeting dates. Make sure you use all your categories. Don't go in there and put in one category and think that you're going to go back later and add more, and don't limit it to, the 3 categories that are, Toastmasters, public speaking, leadership. Use all of the categories. People choose different categories. Make sure you use all 15 of those slots. Get your members to join an RSVP for the first meeting. So this is a club project. This is not just for you to do. Talk to your members, invite them to join. So when you set up your meetup, as soon as you get it set up, send out an email to all of the people in your club and ask them to join before the meetup is announced to the public. So if they join and they put their description and their photos and they RSVP for the next meeting, when Meetup sends that announcement out and people look at it, they'll go, oh wow, they got a meeting coming up, and look, there's a lot of people going. This is a happening thing and I'm going to join it. So here's an example of nothing happening. So this just happened to come into my email just the other day as I was preparing this slide deck, and I get notifications of Toastmasters meetups because that's one of my interests. So I see it and then I click in, and this is exactly what you don't want, is because we have, I clicked in when I got the announcement and there's no meeting. There's a light bulb saying help us plan the next meeting. That's not inviting. There's only one person in this meetup because it's just the person who set the meetup. So it's only her photo on there, and there's only one member, and it's hard to get this thing off the ground if this is what it looks like. And this is probably the #1 mistake that I see, is that people, they do this, and I believe that the intention is we're going to set the account up now and we're going to develop it over time, and then Meetup kind of goes and sends that announcement out, and then they miss the opportunity to actually attract members. So like I say, there's no meetings coming up, and there's only one person that's connected to it. So it can be hard to be the first person to join something. So if this is you, if you've had this happen to you, if you set up your Meetup group and you didn't get all the information in it, and it went out with an empty meeting, it's fine. Just call it a learning experience, delete the Meetup group, and start over again. When you start over again with a new group, you get that second opportunity to get it out there in front of people. So even if you've managed to, get 3 or 4 people to join the first group, it doesn't matter. You can go into Meetup, you can delete the group, and you can start it all over again now that you know that you need to have all that stuff set up first. The second thing, very, very, very common, is no information about why to join. Where I was saying earlier about, oh yeah, it seems like a real pain in the butt to put in all that information into the box. That's what people are relying on to decide whether or not to join your club. So your description about why to join needs to be really quite compelling and cover all of the information people want to know. So this is marketing. This is marketing for your Toastmasters club, and when you're marketing for business, it's all about attracting strangers who need what you have to sell, and doing that mysterious thing represented by that blue arrow to turn them into paying clients. When you're marketing for Toastmasters, what most clubs are after are people who maybe lack self-confidence or feel a little bit shy about public speaking. They may have some fears around that, and you're wanting to attract those people and reassure them. This arrow in here is about reassuring them that you can help and that you're friendly and that it's a great place to be, and that they're going to get value from it in order to make this big step about joining Toastmasters. Think back to when you first joined and how you felt about it. So what you're wanting to do in this case always is you're speaking on the radio station that your prospective members are listening to, which is WIIFM, What's in It for Me. And that's what you want to have on your Meetup page, is information about what's in it for me so that people will join. So answer their questions. Think back to when you were first joining Toastmasters and think about what you were thinking about. What did you want to know? What do your members want to know? When they come into the club, what do they ask? When they phone you or email you before attending a meeting, what do they ask? Put that information right into your Meetup. So, what is Toastmasters? Some people may get this announcement because they clicked on something about professional development. They may never even have heard of Toastmasters. So a little bit about what Toastmaster is and how it works would be helpful. Who is it for? Because people are wondering, is this for me? Do I fit in? Do I belong? Is this going to help me? Let them know what happens in a meeting. A great place to do this would be in the actual meeting. Like I said, you can put in your whole upcoming agenda. You can talk about the different roles and how it works and what they'll be expected to do. Big one, time, date, location. Make sure that's all accurate, and if you're canceling a meeting because of a holiday or something like that, make sure you go to your Meetup and remove that meeting so that it doesn't show up. People want to know, are they going to have to pay something? Is there a fee to attend? So make it really clear that guests are invited for free. I noticed that some clubs have their membership dues listed as well. That's great. It's information. It's things that people are looking for. They might also want to know about parking. So give some information about parking, where they can park, whether it'll cost money, that kind of thing. Time commitment. How long is the meeting? When does it start? When does it end? And how will it help them meet their goals? What will Toastmasters do for them? So think about what they will get. Think about the results that people get from Toastmasters, and you can think about the results that you've gotten from Toastmasters. You can ask your members about this to get good information, but there's all sorts of stuff here, confidence, career advancement, friends, ease with social interactions, dates. I'm not the only person who's met my partner through Toastmasters, so there's lots of good benefits that can come from joining Toastmasters. Spell them out. You're wanting to make your club sound really appealing and like the place to be and the thing that they need to do next. So include all of that, and include a warm invitation. Please come to our next meeting. Just RSVP. And do you have any questions? Send me an email. Or phone this number to get more information. So the third thing, and this happens a lot with Meetup groups that have been in operation for a while. So they've been around for a while. They got that initial blast. Maybe they had a few people show up through Meetup, and then the Meetup gets put on the back burner and people aren't really paying attention to it anymore. And what happens is the club is going along and they're having meetups on a regular basis, and they're getting a good group of people. Maybe they got 15 people or 20 people coming out to the Meetup, or coming out to the Toastmasters meeting, but when you go to the Meetup group, it looks like only one person is attending because the club members aren't RSVPing for the meetings. So looking at this one, the next meeting says there's one person, and then it repeats every Wednesday, and there's only one person. So it makes me think, am I going to be the only person there? Are they going to cancel it? People want to know that there's going to be other people there, not just them. It can feel really uncomfortable to show up at a meeting where you're expecting to see one or two people. So you don't want that. So here's the trick around this, because it can be hard to get your members to RSVP to meetings. It's great if they will, but sometimes they forget or they don't get around to it. But here's the trick to make all of your meetings have people is within your meetup group, you will have a whole bunch of people, and they're all called members, like they're all called members, but some of them are really members, and some of them are just people who joined the meetup group. What you'll want to do is get your real members to join the meetup group. Then go in and make them event hosts. And when you make them event hosts for a meeting, you're RSVPing them for them. So they're showing up as they're going to attend. So the regulars that are usually at your meetings, put them in as event hosts. So this is what we've got in All Pro. Our All Pro meetup has been sadly neglected. It's been running kind of on autopilot for the last couple of years. However, our monthly meeting shows up all the time because I set it as recurring, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. And also, we've got 6 of our members set as event hosts. So every time the meeting comes up, we've got 6 people attending. So there's 6 people with profiles and photos, so people know that that it is a thing and that people are attending. And if you look at the upcoming meetings, there's 6 going to all of the meetings because they're event hosts. So here's how you create event hosts. Is you go in and you edit the meetup, and you just go to your meetup page, click into your meetup, the actual meeting, and then click the pencil for the edit. And then when you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you will see this. It says who's hosting the meetup. So if you click into that, you will see this. And we have a list of the people here that have been event hosts before, and then there's this little link here where you can add event hosts. So you can go in and it'll show you your list of members, and you can pick out your members and you can add them all in as event hosts. And then your meetup will have people attending, and it will look more appealing for new people seeing it. So a couple of tips to make this meetup thing easier for you. First of all, involve your club members. It's not enough just to set up a meetup group. If you're going to do something, do it well so that you get the results from it. So involve your club members. This is something that's really hard to do on your own. So let them know. I would suggest that this would be a great opportunity to do a speech for your club and let them know about Meetup, what it is, and what you're planning, and get them involved. Maybe choose one of those persuasive manuals and sell them on the idea of Meetup and how it will help the club, and let them know what it's about. Then ask them to join. If you ask them in the club so they're expecting it, then that's good. Then when you go and set up the meetup, you can send the email out to all your club members with the link to join and invite them to join and to set up the profiles. And then when they attend a meeting, ask them to leave comments and rate the meetings. One of our club members at All Pro is really good at this. She does this at the end of every meeting. She just goes in, she rates the meeting as 5 stars, and she leaves a note saying, "Wow, that was another really great meeting. Love the evaluations," or "Fabulous speech by Rick," or one of our members, or something like that. But just some kind of a comment about the meeting, because that's the other signal that people are looking for when they come to your meetup. They want to know, well, is this any good? Does it have any stars? Does it have any reviews? So ask people to do that and to get it going. And by the way, this is marketing rating, not Toastmasters rating. So what you really want people to do is to click on the 5 stars. And I've had some people say, "Oh, I'm only going to give it 4 stars because there's always room for improvement." Well, this is marketing. You want people to think that it is awesome. If they have things that they want to improve, suggest that they bring that up in the club, bring it up with the executives. But in terms of the meetup, you're wanting it to look really good. So if you have a meeting that wasn't well organized, you don't want somebody to go in and give it 2 stars. So leave positive comments and positive rating. Also, you can share the administrative duties for the Meetup group. For example, you could get your VP Ed to go in and edit the individual meetings with the theme or what the agenda is about, maybe a little bit of a like listing what the speech, who the speakers are and what their topics are, the summary of their speech. Would be a great thing to have in those individual meetings. And set up a recurring meeting. Our Toastmasters group meet on a regular basis. So when you set up a recurring meeting, you're telling Meetup to repeat it automatically. So it can repeat it on, once a month. It can repeat it on once a week, whenever it is. But set it up as recurring. And if you set up as recurring and set up the meeting host, then that means that your recurring meeting will always have those meeting hosts. And this is the set it and forget it kind of mode. And once you've got the recurring meeting set up, you can go in and you can edit an individual meeting from that. So it will set it up and it'll say, yeah, there's 6 upcoming meetings or 8 upcoming meetings or whatever. It's an ongoing meeting. But for each one of those individual meetings, you can go in and you can edit it. So you could put your general information into the recurring meeting, and then if you specifically wanted to, say, name the theme or talk about the particular speakers, you could go into that particular meeting and set it up, or to change it. If you're having a holiday meeting at a restaurant or something like that, you can go in and change the location on one of the meetings, but this provides the structure that your Meetup is set up. You've got a meeting recurring on a regular basis. You've got members that are always going to be there, and it's solid. And even if you don't go in and change stuff, even if you kind of let it lapse, it will continue to work in the background for you. Always having a meeting and never having that situation where somebody shows up and looks and goes, oh, there's no meeting coming up, just because you ran out of time and you weren't able to go in and set up a new meeting. So this will make it easier for you, that you don't have to do it all the time. It's invest the time now and it'll pay off over time. And third point, as I mentioned earlier, the reviews and the stars. You can see we got 5 stars there. Here we got 4 stars. There's somebody saying, oh, the meeting could use a little bit of improvement. But yes, ask members for the reviews and the stars. It gives additional. What you're wanting is you're wanting a Meetup group that's got some activity around it. The other thing you can do is you can take photos and videos and you can post them on Meetup as well. In many ways, it can almost act as your website with information about your club. So to summarize all of that stuff, Meetup can work if you use it well. If you set it up properly, if you live in an area where people are active on Meetup, it can work, and it can work exceptionally well. I've used Meetup. I brought 20 people in for a demonstration meeting by using Meetup. It can be done. If cost is an issue, and it could be, although you can look at it as an investment too in bringing in new members, especially if your club is struggling, but consider sharing your account. Approach a couple of clubs in your area or a couple of people that you know, and you can split the cost of that account. Get your members involved. Don't try and take it all on yourself, and don't do it in little dribs and drabs. Get it all set up at once. So yeah, plan ahead, get it all done at once so that you can hit that one-time only push for Meetup, because that's the thing that's really going to matter. And once that happens, people will trickle in over time. You get a decent group of people in that first blast, and then every once in a while you get an email from Meetup saying, oh, you've got new people who have joined. So plan ahead, get that all done at once. You can also promote your meetings on social media. Meetup makes that easy, because the meeting is there with the date and all that information. You can just go in, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter and let people know that you have a meeting. And this is something you can invite your club members to do as well, is to go into Meetup and promote them on social media. Take photos at your meeting and upload them. People love to see pictures of people just like themselves doing their thing. So take photos and post them, and ask for those reviews and stars so that your Meetup looks really great. And that's it. If you're here with me live and you have questions, you can type them into the chat. I'm happy to answer them. You're very welcome. If you don't have questions, how do you set up a second group? Oh, just when you log into your account for Meetup, it's the button at the top that says Start a Meetup. And as long as you have fewer than 3 groups, you're good to go. Yes, there is a place in, and I'm just going to go and look at it so I can tell you exactly what it's called. Yeah, if you look on the right-hand side of your Meetup, there's a place there to if you've got photos there, you'll see them. It's in the what's new thing, and there's a place to add photos.